Welcome back, everybody, to the Breakdown Podcast YouTube channel. My name's Corey, and with me today, once again, to break down the latest from Superman and Lois, it's Vic.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Happy to be back with Superman and Lois. I've been waiting for this to come back.
Yeah, it's been a while since you've seen our lovely faces here on the YouTubes, but we are back, and Superman and Lois is back as well too. Now, truth be told, it came out a couple weeks ago, and truth be told, neither one of us watched TV, so we had no idea that it was back.
Yeah, regular TV is not on my radar in most cases.
No, not at all. And so we're a couple weeks behind, but we're gonna get caught up. Not with just this video, but the one you're gonna see in the next video, because we're gonna do two separate videos. We're still gonna break down both episodes, and then we'll be all caught up. And then next week we'll be right in line with everybody else with episode 3. So let's, without further ado, with further ado, we do want to let you know. Yeah, with further ado, we do our show live every Tuesday on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/MillerKing_51. You will find the link in the description down below in the description of the movie. Or the movie.
You out of practice, buddy?
Yeah, I'm way out of practice with this. You're welcome.
It's all good.
But come by, join us, and we're talking Boba Fett as well as Cobra Kai. So come by and join the chat and have fun with us. And if you can't join the chat, the podcast is available on Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify. So Vic, now without further ado, let's break this down.
All right. So this week's episode 1, What Lies Beneath. We've got some ominous things happening. Was that a movie?
Yes, it was.
Okay, then. So not an original title, but it is for this show. We get a little bit of a time jump. It's been a few months since we've left the Kent family and the Henry family. At the end of last season, Talro has been beaten. He is in prison, a black site somewhere. Don't know where it is exactly.
It looks like it's in the middle of nowhere. Might be Grand Canyon.
Something. Natalie is. They've moved from Metropolis because when at the end of the season they left for Metropolis and they were supposed to be living in Metropolis, but they're back in Smallville. The Henry family.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if they forgot that they were in Metropolis last season.
No, you know what I think it is? I think it's like, I would say since they're from Metropolis in their world, I'm going to probably say it may have been too painful to be in Metropolis, considering like that's where they lost his wife and mother.
You're just adding character to the character.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like, I mean, if you're going to make speculation as to, like, whatever, like, that's my speculation. They probably just got there and were like, we have no connection here. This is where your mother and my wife died. Like, they just dipped. I mean, they're the only connection they have to this world, this entire planet, is Superman's family. And the fact that we already know that his sister lives there and he was having a hard time dealing with trying to reconnect with his sister because she's not his sister in this world. So, yeah. I mean, there's any number of things. But Lois and Clark are on the outs. Lois is just, like, snapping at everybody, dude. She's got, like, a really short wick right now. I don't know what's going on with her. But
we know what's going on.
Well, I mean, she's got
through this episode.
Yeah, she's got an attitude, but I'm just talking about when we get started. She's snapping at everybody, and even down to when she goes to work with her new partner, and she's like, "Everybody you're trying to hire is garbage." Like, good lord, she is on a tear.
It's like, Lois, come on now, you're in Smallville,
right? What are you expecting?
Most of them probably did not go to college to become writers.
I mean, they had the Woat or Goat guy who's with his 40,000 Twitter followers.
Yeah, I don't know. What was that? Some kind of statement they were trying to say with that?
I mean, just the number of people that believe that their entire existence is their most important feature on a resume is the number of followers they have on Twitter. In a job interview, I don't think that that's the best way to walk out. I know I wouldn't be impressed with that if I was hiring somebody. Though, with that being said, Chrissy was saying, we really do need help in that department, like the social media stuff and the editing and stuff. And if this guy has those skills, like, again, Lois just ran him off. So, what can you do?
Yeah, but again, it's like a lot of he seems like he's a blogger. For the
Yeah,
most part.
I mean that's what he said.
And let's be honest, they aren't reporters,
right?
Because all they do is they take information that other people have done and they make their own speculations on what's going on.
Yeah,
it's not news,
right?
So, from Lois's point of view, I totally agree. That it's it'd be.
But with that being said, if you have a skill that the two of them don't,
yeah,
then you have to manage him. But if you need that skill, you need that skill. If they're no good at editing and dealing with layout,
then again, all it comes down to is all that person is doing is giving you opinions, and all. So then every time their article is just an opinion piece because they did absolutely no research.
So you don't let him do articles. You just hire him as an editor and a layout guy. I mean, that's the easy thing. Look, here's the deal. You don't have to worry about our social media. You just do your blog. That's perfectly fine. We need you to edit and do layout. That's it. Like, that's the job we hired you for. But at the beginning of the episode, again, Jonathan obviously he's hot and heavy with his little what did I call her last season? I think she was like
I don't remember what you called her.
A cape critter. I think she was a cape critter or something. I don't know, but she is like all about wanting to know everything there is to know about like Jonathan and his family, like all the weird things that have been happening. Like she just wants to be involved, and it was all about the clout. She just wanted the clout of like finding out what's going on with the new guy and being on his arm. Yeah. But now it seems like that over the I think it's been like 3 months or something like that. Like they've been going hot and heavy, and they actually seem like they might have a real relationship, because he gave her what for at the end of last season. Like, he told her, he's like, if you're only with me for this reason, then you need to go away. It is the same girl. Yep. Okay. It is the same girl.
Well, I was going to say that I don't want to jump into episode 2, but since we're talking about her character, we don't hear a thing from her both episodes. So maybe that's a good thing.
Well, I mean, the fact that she got caught like half naked with Jonathan.
Well, aside from that,
I think that was a way to write her out.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about in reference to her trying to find out more information and stuff. She was, maybe that it has subsided. Maybe that little storyline isn't going anywhere. So, yeah. We'll keep it at that. We'll hope that that's the case.
I think that when he went off on her about it and like walked away from her, like, because that's how it ended. Like, it ended with him like throwing her to the curb. Like, there was no like you really thought that was the end of the relationship. But then to see them back together at the beginning of this episode, then obviously something changed over the hiatus in which like they got into some sort of relationship. Because if he went back to her after knowing what she was about, she probably like, backed up, apologized, and now they're back together. But either way, right. She did get caught half naked with Jonathan, who was half naked, not the girl, because it's okay for him to be half naked, but not her, because it's a CW show. It's just weird. But Lois walks in and she's like, "You out, you get out, get downstairs. We're having a conversation." And then basically she just yells at him, and I'm like, okay, she's just like off her rocker right now. Like, she's ridiculous. Who am I? Is Sam?
Let's follow Lois.
Okay.
And the reason we find out that she's so irritable is because of what happened at the end of the last season, where what's his name? John
Jordan.
No. The other dude.
Oh,
the other
John,
dude from the future.
John Henry.
John Henry. His daughter shows up.
Right.
And she starts calling Lois mom.
Natalie.
It's her mom.
Yeah.
And so apparently that struck a nerve in her brain or something, and she's just been it affected her. And so she was like, I couldn't be, I felt nothing.
Hey, that's episode 2.
Was that episode 2?
Yes, that's episode 2. I get to do it. Sure? I get to do it to you this time. Yes, I'm 100% positive that was episode 2.
Okay, I thought it was at the end of episode 1
Nope,
when she
you're a little forward.
yeah, shit. See, this is the problem with watching episodes too far in advance
Right.
because the storyline tends to get
Bleed
muddled a
in,
bit.
yeah.
But okay, let's. So we know it has to do with that.
Yeah.
We know it has to do with that. So then you've got. Let's talk about Superman.
Okay, yeah.
Let's
So
talk about
Superman has, he gets, he hears the help, the cry of help from someone in the world, and as we know, he does this on a regular basis. He just flies off to go save whoever's in need. We've seen him do it all through season 1, where he saved the bridge in China. This time, he dives into the ocean to save a submarine that seems to be sinking for some reason. And as he enters the water, he gets hit with this crippling, blinding, migraine-style vision. It looks like he had a lizard climb up his nose situation. And for whatever reason, he just can't handle like what's going on, and he finally snaps out of it. But when he is dealing with this, he's just like seeing these fuzzy, blurry visions of something. We can't quite make out what it is. And as he's going through this like a crippling, debilitating, headache, these people are drowning in this submarine, but he eventually snaps out of it. He goes and grabs the submarine, takes it up from depth, and I'm like, so people don't get the bends, like, or were they not that deep? Like, what's going on? So he pulls the submarine out of the water, flies it to the land, drops it, and the captain of the ship, it looks out the spy hole, the periscope, and Superman's just like, hey, how you doing? Good to see you. I'm Superman. Yeah, good job. You guys should probably learn how to drive these things, and he flies off. However, this was a Korean submarine. And since we don't know a whole lot about, is it North Korea? North Korean. It was a North Korean submarine. And since we don't know a lot about their military, our U.S. military is like, dude, what's his name? The guy that took over for Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Anderson.
The guy that took over for Lois's dad is Lieutenant Anderson. And he's like, dude, I know you're a superhero, but you're an American superhero, and we need you to put America first. You could have at least put that thing down on American soil where we could have gotten a hold of it, gone through it, and got some intelligence on North Korean technology. And he's like, dude, I've told you from the start, I'm here to save everyone. I am a hero for the world, not a hero for the United States. That's not how this works.
Pause right there. I want to ask you something in regards to the comics about that.
Yes.
Was that... I remember something about recently where they were going to say... where they were changing in the comics that Superman was either... a worldwide hero instead of just being an American hero. Was he originally billed as a hero for America?
No,
I mean, and that's what it literally said.
He was a hero. Yeah.
I'm mixing. I don't know if I'm mixing the folklore, not folklore, but the history
right
in my head.
No, like it's been a. Like, obviously, he's going to do more work in America because he's here. But when it comes down to it, like, he doesn't take any sides. Like, he just saves people. Like, he doesn't involve himself in conflicts. Like, it's that kind of thing. Like the Eternals, kind of. Like, I'm not going to involve myself in conflicts because, obviously, if I did, it would make things very one-sided. He does try to help, like de-escalate situations between countries, but he never picks a side. Like, that's just kind of his thing. Like, he doesn't go on any one person's side. Now, if some country does like some massive atrocity, he's gonna go there and stop them, but he's not gonna be like, no, you're off my list of people I will help. Like, he would never do that. So, like, and Anderson just wants him to be, like, America first type of situation, and he's just like, that's not how this works.
I think even if you think back to some of the Superman movies, like the Christopher Reeve ones, there are clips where he's going around to different cities around the world, and actually helping. So this isn't really anything new. He kind of has always been, I guess, for me, a worldwide hero, not just an American hero. Even though he originally may have been billed as America's hero.
He's Earth's protector is what it comes down to.
Mm.
And he's always kind of said like once he became like got around and realized what was going on in the world, he always says that he's here to protect all humankind. So all mankind. Like that's it. That's his point.
Mr. Anderson to F off. I'm going to do what I want.
Right.
And he's like, well, okay, if you're not going to do that, then you're not going to get any backing from us. So,
right.
In the meantime, well, okay, let's jump in a little bit ahead.
Not really. Nope, you're still...
Okay. I guess the government has been creating some super soldiers.
Yes.
For the most part. And two of them, while... Okay, let me see how to start this. Superman's back home, and he hears about gunfire going on at an airport, and he races to get to it, and he's knocked out by this dude that's the gunman who's huffing X kryptonite.
Right.
Is that what it's called?
XK. Yep.
And he's huffing that, so he's got superpowers, and knocks Superman unconscious. And three of these super soldiers show up. Say that 3 times fast. And they save Superman, but in the meantime, they end up bringing him back to the army. And Superman has another conversation with Anderson, and he tries to say, "Look, you've got these. That kid's only 19. He's just out of high school."
Psst, that's episode 2 too. It's episode 2. That's in episode 2. Let me finish episode 1, and then we'll move on to episode 2.
All right, here we go. For the rest of the video, I'm just going to stay quiet. Just sit over.
No, you don't have to stay quiet. I just, it's fun being on this side because you always get me on it. Yeah, that's the best part. But yeah, so he basically warns him off. He's like, hey, if you're not going to be part of the solution for America, then you're part of the problem. And he kind of leaves it at that. And, Clark's like, okay, whatever. Like, this is the way it's been since day one, since I started working with the Department of Defense. You knew that I was here to defend everyone, not just us. So you have access to me more than anybody else. And that's kind of the kicker. Like, the Department of Defense can call him anytime they want. He will drop everything and come help them. The outlier missions where he's, saving a bridge in China are not the norm. Like, normally he's working for the U.S., but they need to understand, and that's the deal he kind of had with General Lang, was that's how things worked. And this guy, Anderson, just isn't about it. Sarah, who has gone away to summer camp, and apparently they left her sister there, again, because she was nowhere in this episode. Again, like, oh, your sister's coming home from summer camp. You haven't seen her in however many months summer camp lasts.
Not in episode 2 either.
However many months, summer camp lasts. You didn't come and like see her home for okay, whatever. But she gets home, hugs mom and dad. The relationship, obviously, between her and her dad is better. The relationship between her and her mom is better because she like seems happy to see them, and then they kind of have like a real genuine moment, whereas she was being very angsty last season towards her dad, obviously because he was having issues, and the mom because she wasn't paying attention. So things seem to be better there.
Something happened at camp. Now,
yeah,
as somebody who's watched a lot of things, like
dude,
camp,
as soon as
kids go away to camp,
as soon as she started getting iffy like that, I was like, I know exactly what happened.
You knew exactly what happened.
Yeah.
You knew exactly what happened. There was a camp fling. It was a given. It's very cliche. I don't particularly. Yeah, I mean, it's not revealed.
I mean, it's teenage drama, and this is truly like the way that they do this show. Obviously, it is a superhero based show, but I think like whereas you would normally have Superman dealing with the big bad of the week and his weaknesses, kryptonite and Lois, which are his two main weaknesses, now they've extended this out to being about the family overall, and his family is his new kryptonite as opposed to just being kryptonite. And we have to deal with seeing where all of those issues with his family come from in order to see how Superman deals with them. So I've just kind of taken this part for the course. This kid can't handle emotional like drama. Just Jordan's not the kid that can deal with this. So like having this happen to him instantaneously, because this is what happened with Jonathan. But we saw how Jonathan handled it. As soon as Jonathan was disappointed in something, Jonathan's like, back off, chick. And Jordan can't do that. So Jordan doesn't quite recognize the signals that we saw right away. And when he goes to he shows up at her house and he uses super hearing, and I'm not sure, I think that he did it on purpose. I think that he actually used it when he needed to. And if that's the case, like when he was outside the door and he heard her talking about he should have texted, that's him. I feel like that's them showing us that he's actually learning how to use his powers. So
maybe so. But here the thing is, though, I don't like the idea that this actually happened in the first place, especially considering where we left off at the end of last season. And it's not like that they were a maybe couple, or she might have feelings, or she doesn't have feelings. She did, and then she goes away, and in 1 month is just like forgot all about him and just like did this. I'm like, it doesn't.
But I'm on the other side of that. On the other side of that coin, though, like when you think about this is a CW show. There's these kind of things are going to be thrown in there because it is a CW show. But this is a common occurrence in any kind of like teen drama. This is something that always happens. Like it's part of the writing. As much as in like The Flash, we know that there's going to be the cryy, whiny moments with Iris because it's written into the show because it's CW and they have to have it. So this is that's why like it didn't affect me at all when this happened. I was just like, yep, I know what happened already. As soon as he took her to the bridge and he was like, hey, yeah, I got something special for you. And then they showed him using his heat vision to light those candles. That's when I was like, that's what they did. Like the door thing I was questioning. But as soon as they showed him lighting all the candles with his heat vision, they're telling us that over the past 3 months, he has not mastered, but he has become proficient with some of his powers. And as soon as they showed that, I was like, okay, that's where they're going with this. We're supposed to understand that Jordan has...
They're advancing his...
Yeah, exactly. So she opens her eyes and she's like, oh my God, that's amazing. How did you light all those? He's like, it's a secret, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, teen writing. Teeny bobber stuff.
I love how she just like, oh, okay.
And she's like, yeah, that's nice. That's sweet. And he's like, you don't like it? She's like, I'm just a little crampy right now. I'm like, really? That's the out they took? And of course... Yeah. But then you think about it, you're like, you know what? Jordan would fall for that. Like, that would instantaneously, like, that's exactly, she's manipulating him because she knows that he's going to react the way he did. Like, oh, I'm sorry. Can I take you home? Are you going to be okay?
I would fall for it too. Because
you don't want to have that conversation.
No, it's not even that. It's not even that. I shouldn't expect you to lie to me about something like that.
Right.
Because I don't know how you're feeling physically inside.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have to take your word for it.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're going to lie to me, I'm not going to assume that you're lying to me.
Right.
I have to take your word for it. So she pulled the ultimate bullshit card, for lack of better words, because it couldn't be she couldn't be proven wrong.
Right.
And
yeah.
So I don't like that. I don't like that, whether it's her or anybody.
Right.
But then they leave. And then they left all those candles just sitting there burning.
I mean, they were in water.
I really hope in next episode that whole place has
that whole lake burns down. This is true. But yeah, so they take off, and I feel like I'm missing something. What was it? Oh. Fuck, I just forgot her name. Lana. Lana is, at the end of last season, Lana confronted the mayor because he was talking crap like oh yeah, we're gonna make sure that you guys are taken care of, and we know this wasn't your fault. But then right after that, he's turning around doing interviews with people, going, oh yeah, well Lana and her husband were really at the center of this situation, and she caught him. She walked right up behind him while he was like, she's behind me, isn't she? Situation, and she went in on him, and then I was like, oh okay, so she's gonna run for mayor, but no. They have some dude out of nowhere. Like, who is this guy? Did you see this guy last season? Like, was he involved in anything?
No clue who this dude was.
Like, he just pops up out of nowhere, and I'm like, okay, so Mr. Hart for mayor instead of Lana. Like, I thought Lana was going to run for it. This is just a vehicle. There's no way. Like, it's a vehicle. It's a way for them to get her into the position to take over and run against him as mayor.
This is what as a wrestling fan you would call an interim champ,
right?
Where
an interim champ.
You couldn't justify putting a belt on one person,
right?
And having that person beat said champion. But if you bring in a third party to take that belt away and then ultimately drop it to the person you want to get it to,
right.
Because without that middleman, it wouldn't make any sense on how that they would win. That's what you did. What you do here, it would make more sense for Lana just to go straight into politics and want to do that, as far as the storyline goes. But for whatever reason, they want to bring in this character that nobody's seen before and say he's going to be the mayor. Only, for possible, Lana to come in and be the focal point.
Yeah,
and it's stupid. It's a dumb decision.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have wrote it that way.
Yeah, the other thing, what you're saying about Lieutenant Mitch Anderson, is when they had an earthquake and everybody was freaking out. They're like, "Oh my God, there's an earthquake!" And Lana's husband's like, we live over a gigantic mine that's being processed right now. It's probably just some kind of machinery or something starting up. And they're all freaking out basically. And we come to find out that there's something in the mine, and Superman flies down there to save them. The scene where the truck fell off of the top of that ridge and it was falling towards the miners. When he catches it and flies it down to the ground, I was like, did they actually just use a Tonka truck? And a rope? Really? I'm pretty sure that was a practical effect. It looked like a practical effect, and if it wasn't, it was a very bad CGI effect because it looked like a practical effect. And I was like, okay, interesting. And he goes into the mine to go save a couple miners that are down there, and it was too late because there were two kids in there that were beating the crap out of the mine, the collapsed mine, and dug this guy out. It's a guy and a girl, and that's when he first sees the team. Soldiers. He sees the super kids. And that's when he's like, dude, if you're not going to be part of the solution, you're part of the problem, get out of the way. And he's like, hey, that symbol you have on their chest does not belong to you. Take it off of him. And he's just like, oh yeah, Superman belongs to everyone. And I'm like, no, dude, that's his family. That's his name. You literally have that man's name on their chest. Take it off.
I mean, I get it. I get where Anderson's coming from with that.
Yeah.
Because everybody sees the Superman symbol and automatically feels, a bit relieved because they're going to get saved.
Nope. That's not what it's about, though. That's not what it's about at all.
I understand, but he doesn't, from his perspective, he doesn't realize that it's a family crest and it's not just a symbol of,
he was General Lang's direct subordinate. He knows exactly what that symbol means.
Maybe so. But in a way, though, that family crest has become a symbol of hope.
It has. However, what Mr. Anderson is using it for is to tarnish Superman's image. Because when he starts using those kids to assault other countries, to stop tanks from firing on U.S. Forces, that symbol is there, and that's going to make it look like Superman is in, because they're automatically going to assume Superman is in charge of this. They're not going to say the DOD is doing this. They're going to say, oh, Superman has a team of super kids that he's using against us. And that's why Superman's so pissed, and I would be too.
And if you think back to the first season where the big threat was a whole horde of super people
Right.
floating in the air. Now you're literally building all these
He's
people
doing the
that
same
have
thing.
that
He's doing
power.
the exact same thing Talro was doing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's literally no difference of what he was doing other than the fact that he's using human beings that have been exposed naturally.
Now, is that something that's going to be elaborated on the show? I don't know.
I don't know.
But it's just
I know it's
something that
it's underhanded, like because they have the DoD has that company mining all of the X kryptonite out of that mine to quote unquote secure it. But it's in the DoD is securing it. Because if I remember at the end of the season, didn't John Henry agree to run that department? Like, how did that all of a sudden become not a thing? And they just they think we don't remember that conversation.
I don't remember what his whole deal was with the DoD. I thought that there was going to be some kind of agreement between the two of them, like he was going to help them out or something, but I don't remember the actual details, like what he was going to be in charge of.
Yeah. So
I think that pretty much covers everything in this episode because a lot of the stuff.
well, the Natalie situation in Metropolis, she was in Metropolis and that like she skipped school for the entire day, disappeared.
Yeah.
Like she was just being real angsty with her dad. And I'm like, I understand you're trying to get to a point where like you're explaining that, she's mad at him, but why is she mad at him?
It
like
makes no sense.
it makes no sense. So
sense.
your dad went to try to stop evil Superman, and he didn't come back. Okay,
he didn't come back because somehow he ended up in a totally other world.
Right.
Obviously, he didn't do that.
Right. And then she comes in. Yeah. Well, we lost mom, and then you just disappeared. Like, no, he didn't just disappear. He got slingshot off into another universe.
You act like he said he was going down to get milk and never came back.
Right. But then she shows up. I'm like, okay, so you had the technology to follow him because she tracked the suit through the multiverse. So this teenage girl, like I don't know if you noticed this, but this
very freaking smart.
This teenage girl created a multi-dimensional spaceship.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I'm like, okay, well,
are we just gonna ignore that?
I mean, but then she gets there and she's like, Mom. And that's when Lois had freaked out. She's like, he's like, no, that's not your mom. Don't hug her. I was like,
I know.
And he intercepted her. He intercepted her quick too. He was just like, no. They jumped in the thing and drove off. Within seconds.
I mean, on one hand, I can understand how she'd be upset.
Sure.
But to go months on and being upset with him because of something that was beyond his control is absolutely stupid.
Yeah.
I think it's a poor character choice, and I think it could have been handled
because
more.
Literally they're telling you like for the past 3 months she's been pissed off at him because of this, and you're going to tell me in the past 3 months you haven't been able to explain to her, or she hasn't been able to come to grips with the fact that this is not your mom. We're on a completely different Earth. It's a different world. Obviously Superman is not bad. He's married to your mom in this world. They have kids. I'm sorry you have to deal with this, but it was fucked up for me too. And I've been here for like several months and it's still not easy, so I get it. But then they just have her still being the angsty teenager come the start of the episode.
I don't want to jump too much into it because it is episode 2.
We'll get there.
But, her... I don't like it. It's just dumb, and I think it could have been handled so much better. And but we'll talk about more on that.
So the end scene. Hold on, we gotta do the end scene. So the end credit scene, I guess, would be considered the end credit scene. I don't know. It's the after the end, the last commercial scene.
Yeah.
You see these.
I'm watching it on the CW app, so I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah.
What the commercials are.
So there.
I can tell you though that the CW app needs work. I'm tired.
I don't have this problem. Oh no, yeah. You're right.
I'm sorry.
You're right.
I'm seeing the same commercials.
Okay.
There was one commercial segment. I saw the same 4 commercials 4 times in a row, and I was guessing which one was going to be next, and I was right every time.
Yeah,
because it was the same order.
I thought you were gonna say it was the that it kept failing out on you. I was like, I haven't had that problem now at this point now in a long time. But that commercial issue, yeah, that's definitely a thing. But you see smashing, you see rock breaking, you see smashing, you see rock breaking. We're kind of tunneling down into the earth as this is going on. I'm assuming that this is supposed to be Superman seeing. This is what Superman's seeing in my mind, in my head. And as they're going through, the last scene you see is this giant arm come through the ground, and I'm like, well, we know who the big bad is for the year, for the season.
And it is
Doomsday.
See, is that where he originated from in the comics?
In the comic book, so Doomsday is Kryptonian. You know that, right?
Yeah,
do you know
I
that?
guess so.
Okay, so Doomsday is kind of a prehistoric Kryptonian, who's from way before human being people were on Krypton, like what before Kal-El's people were there, and basically when they found him, they started experimenting on him, and they end up like just. Because of the way they did the experiments, which is pretty brutal, they would basically drop him on a planet, like let him survive as long as he could, and when he died, they'd scoop up what was left of him, clone him, and then do it again. So basically, like,
what was the point?
Because they were trying to force evolution. They're trying to get him evolved as quickly as possible, but because of the way they were doing it, they were basically doing it the most savage, vicious, painful way possible, and they didn't realize that his DNA was remembering all of this horror that they were putting upon him. And he was a child at the time they started doing this. So every time he would just die, they'd put him back on a planet and they'd let him like live as long as he could until he got eaten by a giant four-headed tiger, and then they would scoop up the remains, clone him, put him back on another planet, let him die again from like getting crushed by a tree that fell over in the middle of the night. They'd scoop up the remains, clone him, put him back on another planet where he'd get beat to death by the inhabitants. Like, it was horrible.
At some point, you've got some Michael Keaton multiplicity versions of him going, I like pizza.
Yeah, at least one or two of them. But so finally, like when he became like the more evolved version of himself, they dropped him on a planet and he basically decimated this planet. Like he got to the point that they wanted him to get to be like this ultra super being, and he annihilated this entire like civilization. And when he got to like the last like bastion of hope for this, like basically what was happening with Superman last season, like he got there and they were like, oh fuck you, they all just like banded together, used all the power that they had and tried to kill him, and it didn't work. So they were like, okay, we need to get rid of this guy. So they encased him in like this like metal, I don't know what it was, but this metal like suit thing that was supposed to, like, he was supposed to die in it. Like the idea was he's gonna die in it, but by their religion, the soul could escape and inhabit something else. So they built this thing so he couldn't get out of it, and his soul couldn't ever be moved to another body. So the idea was they're never going to collect this guy and remake him. And they shot him off the planet, and he ends up on Earth. And that's where I think this is coming from. So he is deep down in like the core of the Earth, like a fucking celestial, and he's digging his way back out. That's why Superman is like, I think that's why Superman's seeing this, because he's got a connection to all of the Kryptonians now because of that stupid thing that his brother did to him. I think he's like connected to them in some way, shape, or form because of that. So this thing's digging his way out, but that arm is very, very, very like noticeable. It's got giant rocky spikes on it. There's no one else in the DC universe than Doomsday that could be. So that's who I think that is.
All right. Well, we'll find out next week if we got any more information on that. Wink, wink. So on behalf of Vic,
that's me. Your comic
Corey,
historian.
I'm Corey. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.
See ya!